evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey, sister.
Hey, sister, I'm just looking at how this computer processor is slowing down. So I don't think it's the camera at all. I think it's just time
Time
for
for new
nap time.
technology.
Yeah.
Hey, Jody Joe,
Hey,
thanks for
Jody.
always being on time at the top of the hour and one of our loyal, faithful Hey Sister watchers and viewers. And if you want to be like Jody, you can like, follow, subscribe, share. Follow us on the social media platforms listed in that spot right up there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You never will miss an episode. If you go to our website, you'll never miss an episode. And tonight we want you to join the conversation in the comments. So, sister, but as we were, before we were getting ready to get on, and so I just decided to turn on the nightly news because I had been watching a little bit of Coco Golf thing, and I had to turn it off because Coco had me stressed out. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if she won, lost, or whatever. Um, And then I turned on NBC Nightly News and I was uh, okay, this our lineup for the day. This the rundown for the week.
Yeah. I mean, listen, a lot is happening in the world. The United States is quite enough, but the world takes it to another level. So,
I know, and and we trying to just drink water and mind our business, but y'all just make it hard out here. I told you today I was trying to get my gallon of water in, and I think I got about 20 more ounces to go for the day to get that 100 ounces. I'm not going to be quite at a gallon, but Lord.
well, good for you for doing that much because I have been falling off very, very mightily on my water. And I need to be like Daniel again, vegetables and water.
Mm-hmm. But they called it pulse
A pulse, yes.
and water. Yes, well, I have, I will say this, I have, we got the celery and the carrots, and I'm going to get back to a little juicing on a more consistent basis. So to ensure that I have my supply of pulse, but it really does make a difference. You really do feel it on a cellular level when you are in that good homeostasis state and everything seems to be clicking and operating, and your body is systems are doing what they're supposed to do, and you're able to get the rest and recovery that you need. It makes a difference.
It does. And I do enjoy juicing very much. So I have some things that I need to juice as well. I have some celery, I have some apples. Definitely need to get those going, some ginger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the world being on fire, you got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm trying not to. Whew, okay, I'm just trying, like you said, drink water, mind my business. I'm trying to make sure that the things that I'm doing are righteous in the sight of God, girl. But
Mm-hmm.
they push us.
They do push us. Well, tonight, if you have watched the news, you've seen it started, with the time changes. So I think it started yesterday that these protests have erupted all over Israel. Six hostages that people have hoped that they would be able to bring home alive were found dead in Gaza. And the IDF is doing another offensive where they're going in, and then unfortunately these six hostages were killed.
Yeah.
Um, and the folks in Israel are like, enough. They've been saying enough from the beginning. They've been saying, Netanyahu, we tired of you doing this war in our name. We're tired of you fighting this fight in our name. This is not in our name. Get a ceasefire done. When they had a ceasefire, I think I can't remember the number, and you have to fact check me on this, but I think when they had the ceasefire, um, like 100 people were released, or 60 people, however many people were released. It was like a large group of people were released when they had the ceasefire, and then now we have 6 people who have been killed. Um, as we've contended from the beginning, it's wrong all around. It's just wrong all around. And why we cannot recognize the humanity in one another and allow each other to live with dignity and respect. And it's mind boggling to me. So, yes, Hamas is wrong, Israel's wrong, everybody is wrong. Who in protection, we go to these extremes, and we kill thousands for one. It just, I don't know, it doesn't sit well in my spirit. And even as we have our Sunday school and we study it on a regular basis, it's like, okay, this has been the norm for millennia.
Mm-hmm.
um, and how people react into these situations. And I don't know, and my heart just aches for these families. And then the young man Hirsch, whose parents spoke at the DNC, and we talked about the DNC last week. It just breaks my heart because he was one of those who was killed.
Yeah, it is. It is heartbreaking. Like you said, this is a terrible situation all around. And I just feel like you can't keep saying that you're doing this for your people if your people are telling you to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you can't keep using that as the reason. I do believe that a compromise can be made. I think it's been discussed about a two-state compromise, and it's like, can we just allow people to live in peace and stop trying to invade spaces and places. I know the song is here in the United States, this land is your land, this land is my land. And I just don't understand how, like you said, I mean, since biblical times, we are fighting over land, and so many children and so many people who had absolutely nothing to do with this conflict. They're the collateral in all of this.
Yes.
And that is unfortunate. And at the end of the day, if your leaders are not doing the things that you're asking them to do, they don't need to be your leaders anymore.
Right.
So it's enough is enough. It's a costly war. It's costly financially, but it's more costly in lives, futures that have been destroyed, families whose bloodlines have ended. It is terrible, and enough is absolutely enough.
And as the saying goes, my mother-in-law would say, enough is enough and too much stinks. And this just stinks to the high heavens. And it's just heart-wrenching. The images, the you talk about the generational trauma
Right.
that these children will have experienced, the generational trauma that all people in that region have experienced, because just the fact that you have tunnels and bomb shelters
Right.
as a part of your norm in life, and sirens going off and you escaping to bomb shelters, the trauma, the sickness of oppression, and the sickness of control, and the sickness of ruling over other people, or the sickness of claiming territory and land, that when there's an earthquake and all of us are shattered. You know what I mean? Like the earth don't care nothing. The earth don't care nothing about these man-made territories and boundaries and ownership. Like the earth don't care nothing about
And like,
that.
I want to be fair. I don't want us to seem like we think that this is we know this is a complex issue. We know that this
But
is more than just the ability to just say, okay, just stop, right?
it's more than just what happened October 7th. Like this is
Exactly. That's also a part of it too.
yes. This is
more than what happened October 7th, more than what continues to happen.
Mhm.
But at some point, again, there needs to be some real conversations about how do we live in peace with each other. And if that means we need to overthrow some of these rulers, then we have to do that, because at the end of the day, if they, again, if your people are marching in the street and protesting and saying now to just to say stop, we want a ceasefire now, then if you're not listening to that, then something's wrong with your leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sister,
Absolutely.
I can't see the things anymore, so you might want to drop the articles in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will do that. My sister's having a little technical difficulties, but we have an article there about what is happening right now and the American hostage that was killed in Gaza, and there's still American citizens who are hostage in Gaza right now, or
Right.
wherever they're being held, because that's the other thing, we don't know where they're really being held. So this next story, my sister sent this to me earlier. Have you ever? I have worked in situations. Most of my professional life, I have worked from home, right? Or I was in the field in sales and what have you. When I was in an office setting and had a cubicle, I can't even hardly imagine this scenario. But we'll drop the article. You send it to me so you tell the folks what happened. Because it happened over there in Arizona, girl. What is wrong with Arizona?
Trying to catch up to Florida, I guess.
Yes, child.
And so I actually got it from our good sis Jessica. And really and truly, the conversation is about, you know, for so much of our lives, we go to jobs and we are loyal employees, loyal employees. This lady, Miss Denise Prudhomme, went to work apparently on August 16th. And it took 4 days before they discovered that she had died at her desk. Now, in the article, you
I
will
won.
see not one, not
Not two.
2.5, 4 days before they discovered that she had died. And
Now,
they,
Jody works in HR. Jody, please don't do this. Please don't do this to the people.
well, so first of all, the only reason it seems that anybody even thought about this lady being dead was because there was a smell that they started smelling, a foul smell. And so I have so many problems with this story. My first problem is, for those of us who have been working from home in some capacity on a regular basis, this argument is that we need to get back in the workplace, because that's where the collaboration happens. That's where the camaraderie happens. So much is discussed over the water cooler. So you mean to tell me this lady was dead and not a single person, her supervisor didn't know what days, and they say she checked in at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is early, but it ain't like if you going to work, and then the article says most of the people work from home. But if you going to work, shouldn't your manager know that you have a regular routine? Like, usually if it's a hybrid situation, it's like, these are
Tuesday,
the days we're going to
Thursday,
do it.
Monday with Friday, this time,
Right.
these hours, or you might be okay. I do the 4-day work week where I go 7 to whatever, Monday through Thursday, and I'm off on Friday. If you work in any workplace situation, everybody knows these things.
You would think. And so then the article goes on to say, I feel like I need to quote it exactly, because it was it was appalling to me. So they said that most Wells Fargo employees in the office work remotely, but the building has 24/7 security. Okay, so clearly they ain't walking around. Wells Fargo said in a statement, also, please don't do this, HR people. Wells Fargo said in a statement to USA Today that the company had to communicate with Prudhomme's family before speaking to employees. The company added that she sat in a very underpopulated area of the building. Then why is she there? If it's so underpopulated, why does she have to go in? And this is what kills me. When you and I talked about it, you would think underpopulated means she might have been in the basement in the corner somewhere. She's on the third floor.
On the third floor.
This is so appalling to me. So appalling. And again, we break our backs. We don't don't take vacation. We let people convince us that, we folks don't even have offices no more. So that's also what's crazy. Like most of these places are cubicle forms. So the fact that nobody in the family was like, well, where's Denise? Nobody on her job was like, we ain't seen Denise in a few days. Like, none of that happened. That feels so appalling to me. And for the amount of things that employees seemingly do to show up in the workplace, this is terrible. Wells Fargo has already been having quite a number of issues. This is terrible.
It's terrible. Well, Jody says when someone hasn't shown up for work for a certain time and no one has heard from them, someone is texting or calling to see where they are. You would think
You
so.
would think.
But the fact that, and you said something as we were preparing for this, like the fact that the smell was what alerted them, and they thought they had a plumbing issue.
Right.
They thought they had a plumbing issue. Is the only thing that they decided to go check on.
Right.
Now, this is a banking institution
with the 24/7 security.
With 24/7.
So y'all don't walk around at all.
Not only do they not walk around, what about the custodial people who come in and clean out the garbage cans?
Well, they've gotten rid of so many of those people. They've gotten rid of so many custodial people where folks, like, I know at my former company, they had stopped doing, the individual trash cans, and they had the overall, like, trash stations throughout. So the crew that came in, they emptied the overall trash station. There weren't any individual desks, and they try to say that's for environmental purposes, but
all I know is that this story again is heartbreaking, but it also is a reminder. And I know nothing about this woman, about her life, about her family. I don't know if we don't know if she married, has kids, no kids, divorced, whatever the circumstances of the situation. We don't really know all of those details, but it does reinforce that you have to take care of yourself. You have to put your care of yourself paramount above other things, because Wells Fargo, this situation has happened there in that office building. They're going to clean and disinfect it, and they're going to post her job if her job is not already posted. And whoever is left to mourn her, they may or may not receive any type of compensation support, because if y'all didn't know she was dead, how y'all even gonna support the family?
Right.
It's just absolutely appalling.
Well, they claim that they were again that they didn't address the workers first because they had to reach out to the family. But at that point, I mean, what are you gonna say to the family? I mean, I got questions on all around, even for the family. Like, who is the family? Because if you didn't come home from work on night one, it should have been probably
she could be divorced, live alone, have grown children, may not have children.
That's why I'm saying, who is the family that they had to contact before they told their employees? And these people still steady going to the workplace. Clearly was going there, and again, they thought something was wrong with the phone.
How did they go? Like, people showed up to work.
Clearly.
Girl, I don't know. It's a mess. This is a mess. A hot mess. A flaming
Well,
hot.
again, it is a reminder that life is short. Put
Yes,
yourself first. Stop over committing and doing things that you don't want to do. Like that thing I sent you the other day where the sister like, wear your hair how you going. Your hair is always gonna, as black women, your hair is always gonna be a subject of conversation. So wear it how you want to wear it. Go to the don't go, you don't gotta go to all the happy hours, but know that they gonna be talking business at some of these happy hours. Like, let us stop with this facade that the people you work with are your friends. If they're your friends, then you talk to them outside of the workplace.
that's right.
And clearly, pull up Miss
Stop
Denise.
the facade that we family. Because clearly,
Right. Clearly,
if
you're
you
not.
don't hear from me in a day, you gonna be like, Jeff, where my sister at?
Especially if he told me you left out to go somewhere.
At 7 in the you went to work at 7 in the morning, and I heard from you, and it's 7 at night. Because I know normally you gonna call me on the way back or something to talk about something.
Something. This is just such a sad story. And I just it really saddens me because I'm really like, was this lady alone? Like literally nobody at home, and then she went to work and had nobody even knew, seemingly cared enough. It feels so terrible.
It does. It absolutely does. It's heartbreaking. Well, you are tuned in live to Hey Sister. If you are watching us now on Facebook or YouTube, we want you to join the conversation in the comments tonight. So drop in. Let us know what your thoughts on these first two topics that we've discussed. We have a few more for y'all because let me tell y'all, the world been whirling out here. So another nightly news. Of course, like I said, I turned on the nightly news and was like, what the heck? So, an NFL rookie for the San Francisco 49ers was shot in an attempted armed robbery. He is recovering. He was at, I guess, a kind of like a meet and greet signature type of kind of promotional type of event. A 17-year-old also was shot, and I think they had a tussle. But the shot went straight through and did not hit any major organs. He already was on, I guess, like he had been injured a little bit in the preseason, and so he was looking forward to, the season getting started and him being well enough, like recovering and being well enough to play. And there are a couple of articles out there. His name is Ricky Pearsall, or I think it's Pearsall, is how it's pronounced. But I don't understand. So this is so many levels. So it is not just we talk about guns and the access to guns and how anybody can have access to guns and how a 17-year-old has access to a gun. It's talk about this robbery thing, because there was another young an actor from General Hospital who was an attempted robbery in the Los Angeles area, who was murdered, who was killed because people tried to rob him and he resisted. It
They were
goes.
trying to take the catalytic converter.
Oh yes, catalytic converter from his from his vehicle. It's just, again, it's head scratching, it's heartbreaking, and it's I don't know, sister, like, what say you?
Well, if I, it says it happened in the Union Square neighborhood, and if I recall correctly, based on my experiences in San Francisco, there are the homelessness problem has increased quite a bit in the San Francisco area. They've had their fair share of smash and robs, or smash and whatever,
Grab.
smash and grabs, yeah. And so you had businesses that have closed down as a result. It is appalling that this young man was shot in broad daylight by a 17-year-old trying to take his Rolex watch. And thankfully, it appears that he's been released from the hospital. His condition has improved, but it's just unfortunate. Like, I can't have nice things. I can't work hard and have nice things without somebody feeling entitled to take them. I understand if you homeless, if you hungry, if you need help, say that. We can talk about that. But to try to take something off my person, and this is why, let me just say this. This is why we historically and traditionally, culturally, do not like people being all up close and personal on us.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of people who don't mean you any good.
Right.
This is why we're like, back up. You're standing just a little too close to me. So for this young man to run up on him like this, on his way to an event, that's sad and it's unfortunate, because now, Mr. 17-year-old, what's left? What's gonna happen with your life now?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. What happens to your life? Uh, in essence, you basically have given up your life for the prospect of possibly having a watch.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just, is it really worth that?
Now, I mean, like I said,
We don't
no.
know the story of the 17-year-old. We don't know
Right.
the circumstances, but I do know that we are a celebrity obsessed culture. I also know that there is, and one of the things with all these smash and grabs, again, we talked to last week with Kelly about people don't connect the dots. With these smash and grabs, the catalytic converters, all of those big, there's an organized crime element
Mm-hmm.
that we are not taking into account. We also are not taking into account a lot of people do these online shopping on these online stores, and a lot of them, and there was even one I think that was busted here in the state of Florida, where they're going wholesale, stealing all this stuff out of CVS, and so now we want to get something that is locked up, but they have their online Amazon store, and so what is Amazon doing to cut down on that? What are any of these online sites, these resale sites? So was he going to go to a resale site and try to resell that product to get money? Like, there's just so many things, as we said, always, it's not just the thing that happened, it's all the things, the connective tissue to it. There's so many implications and there's so many questions. And so, it's not just, oh, there's crime. It's like there are root causes. And yes, hunger, homelessness, addiction, there are root causes to crimes. But there's also our culture and obsession with material that also is a part of why we have a crime problem. They always talk about fentanyl. It's our addiction to drugs in this country and wanting to numb ourselves is why we have a fentanyl. There's always connective tissue to other things, and sometimes we don't sit back enough and look at the big picture and really assess what's really going on and what really practically could be done to make things different.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot happening, and like you said, we have so many dots that need to be connected, and we need to just start addressing some of these things. Like, putting band-aids on it is not enough. We need to have some real dialogue about what are the root causes and who's really behind a lot of these thefts.
Yeah. And like you said, literally putting band-aids on gunshots. Literally. No, there are bigger things at play. And we
Yeah.
need to start thinking about those bigger things. Um, I don't know. What you looking at over there, sister? I see you clicking and doing some
No,
things.
no, no. Because I was looking, because there was a store I thought it was in the San Francisco area as well. It was in Anaheim. It was a computer store that had been robbed for like the second time.
Mhm.
And just the way it was described, I was like, that has to be an inside job. You can't keep having, like, because they had put up all these extra, um,
Security.
like security measures, steel door, all this stuff, and yet they still were robbed for again for a second time. So it just makes me again think when somebody goes in and steals. A few weeks ago, there was one with Legos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was this huge Lego theft ring,
Mm-hmm.
basically, because some of the Lego sets go for like upward of $200. So they went to this specific store. They knew exactly which Legos were the ones that were the most expensive
Desirable.
and
Mm-hmm.
desirable. Yeah. So it's like when you start really, again, peeling back the layers, this may have nothing to do with what happened with this young man, but for somebody to try to steal a Rolex in broad daylight, it just feels like there is more layers to this story than what we know.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there usually always are.
Yeah.
So in our next duh moment, so there's been a lot of news stories about, first it was MIT put out their enrollment data. Now Amherst and some other schools, they're putting out their enrollment data saying that the Supreme Court's affirmative action ruling last year has caused a decrease in the number of Black and Latino students at these, and they use the word, not my word, elite colleges. Duh. Okay? Like, what you think was gonna happen? Wasn't that part of the design? Wasn't that part of the plan? I'm
Right.
confused. What y'all confused about? And why is it even a news story? Because now they need to do more to get more diversity. Okay, shut. That's all I want to say. Shut up. What?
And
Stop.
and
And
so
stop
that
playing in our face.
I'm looking at stuff on my phone about these stories because I don't want to mess with this computer because it's so slow right now.
Okay.
So that's why I'm also looking up some of the stories on the phone. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we thought was going to happen. No, I do know what we thought was going to happen. The hope, right? So when we think back on the history of this whole affirmative action legislation, when we go back to Texas and things like that, you
They've been
know,
working on this like they was working on Roe for 50 plus years. They've been working on this for 50 plus years too.
correct. And we know that the idea was, my kid is not getting into school, and it's because of them. And the them that they identify were Black and brown students. And then, of course, as the years have passed, California, the state of California, its state schools is a great example. As the years pass, it's like the number of Black and brown students has declined, the number of Asian students has increased. So from the very beginning, the target of your angst was not, I mean, Black and brown people were not your problem, but that's who you targeted your angst at.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have schools that effectively, if you're not playing a sport, there ain't too many Black and brown students on the campuses.
Mm-hmm.
And so now as we've continued to um pull back on to create new rulings that make it even harder for Black and brown students to get into schools. Again, we keep a lot of us keeping these legacy clauses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're attacking affirmative action, you're attacking um diversity, equity, and inclusion in hiring and promoting practices. You're attacking this. You're still talking about CRT, which I'm like, I thought
Mm-hmm.
we figured out that CRT is not taught in a collegiate setting, but unless you're in a graduate law, in a law program. But you continue to do these things and attack these programs that were meant to create an environment that kind of looks like the world that we should be living in and not like everybody from the same place, everybody got the same financial background, everybody grew up with the same. Yeah, you're looking to have diverse thoughts, perspectives, people's experiences, foods, cultures, heritage. Like there's abilities, there's all kind of things that come with diversity. And yet, again, the target of the angst was Black and brown people. And now the enrollment is down.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that was the plan, because all along the idea was they're getting something that they didn't deserve.
Right.
And that wasn't true. It never was true.
No.
So now we're just not getting in because we're blocked.
Yeah. Well, here's the other side of that. The enrollment at HBCUs, and there are only 106, so we can't have everybody. The enrollment at HBCUs has surged. And this started surging in, it was a Trump bump at one point because of these attacks and people wanting to be in places where they felt safe, psychologically, emotionally, physically safe. And I'm not saying that there are no things that don't happen on these campuses too, but they're, again, connect the dots, bigger things at play. And I also dropped in the story about, Clark Atlanta saw the record number of applications received this year, even more than the University of Georgia. So that was their big story. Oh, they got more than the University of Georgia. Why? Because I would tend to say that those are two elite institutions where you're actually getting a quality education at a better economic price point. However, the states, for the land grant institutions, you still owe us some money, so run us our coins. Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, Florida, all of y'all owe those land grant HBCUs money because you have not kept up with the legislation in which they were created all those years ago. So run us our coins so we can continue to be great.
Right.
That's what I think. I don't know what you think.
I agree. I mean, that there are two A&Ms in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. One known as Louisiana State University is an A&M college, and Southern University, A&M college. And so those land grant, both of them are land grant universities. And again, Southern University was underfunded by the tune of about $1 billion, and
Say that again, one what?
billion with a B.
What?
Dollars.
Billion.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it is time for our comeuppance. Like we are owed that money because we are very much tax-paying citizens. Many graduates are tax-paying citizens, and I want my university to have the same sort of opportunities as the one across town.
Yeah.
And it's so blatant. It's so blatant.
Yeah. Yeah. If you go to Tallahassee, it's so blatant.
Yeah.
It's so blatant. But here's the thing, that gets me. This whole debate, I've done more for HBCUs or we've done this for HBCUs. Sometimes I want to say, just do what you were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you just did what you're supposed to do all of these years, then we would be in a better position.
Right.
From an infrastructure perspective, from an economy perspective. We have always, as what's our friend Nigeria said, punched above our weight. We have always delivered on the producing of people who are highly educated, contributing members to society, working, your doctors, your dentists, your lawyers, your consultants, your what have you. We've always punched above our weight in producing of talent that goes out into the workforce and makes a difference. Imagine what we do if we had our fair share.
Yep.
Imagine what would be done if we had our fair share. That's why that term elite falls flat for me, because just because it's MIT, well, you know what? If you had been giving that money to say a Southern University or a Xavier University, we could be having, and we're not a public land, we're a private institution, but still nonetheless, if you've been giving some of that money to that private institution, we might have greater research gains as well.
Yep.
because the talent's always been there. The elite has always been there. That's my 2 cents. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up this the full report so that if anybody wants to actually take a look at the whole report about and nourishing the nation while starving the underfunding of black land grant colleges and universities.
Yeah,
Because it's appalling.
it
It's
is appalling. And when you look at the numbers, the men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Now let's talk about this other lie.
another lie. Okay.
Girl, I read this in the New York Times and then I was like, wait a minute. So there is a court, a judge in Brazil who is basically like, y'all shut this thing down, this thing called X that was formerly known as Twitter, because the person behind it is not doing what needs to be done to ensure that the misinformation, disinformation, and the lies aren't being told and spread on their platform. They
Right.
is not secure, and you ain't gonna be doing business over here in our 200 million people is shut off like that. And I was like, oh, it's like this, y'all. It's like that and that. And of course, Mr. Musk is, oh, they're not for free speech and this and no, they're not for hate speech. And they're like, you're not going to be in our country acting like this. And so, yes, we have free speech and freedom of speech, but there's always been restrictions on what even our free speech is in this country.
Right.
So as I was reading this article, all I could do was just shake my head because I was like, you know what? We talk about people who, when we go to other countries, and we like, why y'all acting like our rules and laws apply over here? Like, they don't. Like, stop it. Sir, why are you acting like freedom of speech applies in some of these other countries when it don't? Stop it, sir.
But like you said, I don't even think that this is a free speech. He's trying to make it about a free speech conversation. I don't think it's a free speech conversation. I think what they're saying is you've been spreading misinformation and disinformation, and you don't seem to want to do nothing about it. So we're gonna shut it down. And quite frankly, let me just say this: the way these social media sites, so I try to type words in Instagram, for example. I understand that's Mark Zuckerberg, but you try to type certain words in Instagram and you're instantly flagged. You look at comments and those comments have been hidden for your from
Protect.
your view. And yeah, and then you click on it and you like, why was this hidden? People have created the term unalive because you can't say dead or killed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he was unalived. He was killed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's nothing in my spirit that tells me, as smart as the people are who put these platforms together, there's no way you can't filter out like the N word, but you can filter out everything else. Perfect example the other day. Glorilla put out a song. She used the term, I'm just saying it because I think it's
Needs to be said. Go
term retarded, apparently, in her song.
ahead.
Fans were upset with that. Within like 24 hours, she changed the lyrics, dropped the new video, whatever, changed the lyrics to the song. So some people were like, the R word. What is the R word? I have to go look it up. But yet, that same song,
Come on, sister, say
that
it.
nigga threw out up and through. And I was just like, this whole idea of free speech,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I don't necessarily want to be restricted with the words that I use either, but I have so many questions about why certain terms
Who
are,
gets to choose?
who gets to choose, and why do certain terms pass the muster. And when it comes to X, we know as soon as Elon Musk took over, he decided that word was not a problem, nigga was not a problem. So there was overabundance. I mean, the term literally skyrocketed in use.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I just I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not a prude. I have no problem with cuss words in songs. I sing them. And back in the day when they used to have the parental advisory sticker, I was like, I want all my cuss words. I'm paying for all of them. But we are in this social media age, and we got to start asking ourselves again some deeper questions. Why are you allowing the oppressor? And Elon Musk is literally from a family of oppressors from in South Africa. Why are we allowing the oppressor to continue to denigrate and degrade us by allowing all sorts of language to be used against people of color,
Mm-hmm.
against women,
Mm-hmm.
but all kind of other words can fly. White supremacists can fly.
Mm-hmm.
White nationalists can fly.
Mm-hmm.
Again, killed doesn't fly, but unalived.
Mm-hmm.
No, if I'm talking about what happened to Breonna Taylor, she was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And if these platforms are supposed to be places where free speech can take place, then why are you being biased, and how are you choosing which words can be typed in the platform? And why are you allowing, again, the degradation of Black people and women? That's okay. Those words are okay. But other words, they have to be restricted. I
Yeah.
don't I don't get it. So, I don't know what all the political ramifications are behind. I don't know all the details about what happened in Brazil. It sounds like there's been a feud that's been taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the good people of Brazil say we got to show you better than we can tell you. So 1.2 million folks, I believe it was 1.2 million, got shut off.
Oh, I thought it was more like 200 million.
Oh, maybe so. Well, drop the article, child, so I won't be lying out here in these streets.
I have to go find the New York Times one. I dropped another article. I think I dropped it in there in the
No, I
comments.
don't see it.
Oh, okay, let me get it. Yeah, let me get it. I think it was like 200 million people.
Okay, that sounds a lot more logical. But yeah, I mean, because these companies are not taking responsibility and accountability for getting rid of all these bots.
Yep.
Like somebody made a smart snide comment to me after my plies thing when I was saying, yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it twice. My comment on Plies' page, somebody made a smart comment. I went back later and then it was gone. And so that's why I'm like, okay, I've noticed that as well. Like if you respond, it's gonna stay. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't respond, it'll magically disappear. You mean to
Right.
tell me y'all don't know who these bots are by now? And I know they moving fast, but this is why
Yeah,
you
because the technology is moving fast and AI is moving faster and they can't keep up. However, when you go to an organization and then you fire all of your engineers or the majority of your engineers, what do you expect to happen? But and you get rid of your community standards. What you expect? Stop it.
right.
Stop
So
playing in our face.
Brazil said they doing what they doing, and you gonna live with it. And he probably gonna say something or do some sideways. And
And again, people in Brazil are just gonna go to another platform.
I
Um,
mean, I hope. I think, unfortunately, I think they're going to, push back, just like what we've been talking about here in this country about TikTok. Look, I get it. I believe folks already got our information, so it ain't like I think they're getting it from TikTok. But people have been filing lawsuits about we want TikTok to stick around.
yeah,
So I feel like we'll see the same thing.
yeah. Mm, anyway, all right. Let's go back to Arizona, girl. What's happening over there with your Senate race?
Well, it so as you all probably know, Kirsten Sinema decided she wasn't running again. So as a result, Ruben Gallego, who's currently state, uh, I don't know what he's a congressman, I think, and Carrie Lake, who seemingly just wants any job in politics,
Mhm.
are running for the open Senate seat.
Running and running.
She stay running for something. But anyway, because I'm like, I don't even feel like these are the same jobs. So you just wanted to be governor. Now you want to be Senate, U.S. Senator? All right, girl, I guess. But anyway, so Carrie Lake obviously is a huge MAGA supporter. Ruben Gallego, and she's on the Republican tip. She's a Republican nominee. Ruben Gallego is a Democratic nominee. Anyway, the other day, y'all, former White House resident came to Arizona, and
And he's been there a lot lately.
he's been there a lot. He's been here a lot, battleground, blah blah blah. So he had people on the stage that I guess was taking too long for him. Carrie Lake apparently went too long, and then this gentleman from the one of the police unions got up, and he just got up on the stage, so that man pretty much hurry up, get up off the stage. Y'all can look it all up. Anyway, the next day, said police union endorsed Ruben Gallego. And then thereafter, after a day, maybe it wasn't the next day they did the endorsement, but I feel like it was very close. And then the next day after that, Ruben then sends a letter saying how he doesn't want the DOJ to do this consent decree here. Now, we talked about it before. The DOJ investigated the Phoenix Police Department and found a number of infractions. Now, according to Ruben, it's only 120, and that's a small amount compared to the number of calls that they get, and that, it's going to cost a lot of money and all of this stuff. Listen, these people were lying on folks, talking about the Black Lives Matter protesters were members of gangs. Mm-hmm. They were tasing people in the private parts. Mm-hmm. They were targeting Black and brown people and the homeless. Mm-hmm. They had a situation with someone who was differently abled, and so and I have to say,
all of that was found in the DOJ's investigation, and the reason why they want to put them on a consent decree because of civil rights. And then let's connect another dots, because you know that they want to get rid of the whole civil rights unit in the DOJ under Project 2025. I'm just going to drop that there on you.
Right. Go right. Ahead. And so now, for me, when I heard about this letter from Ruben Gallego, it just made me it just infuriated me. Again, I keep saying that word, I feel like, because it's like, we already got hoodwinked with Kirsten Sinema and her shenanigans. Mm-hmm. So now here you are, supposed to be
the Democratic stalwart, mm-hmm.
and different from Carrie Lake, right? And I'm not saying I have a problem with the union endorsing you. I have a problem with you writing a letter and suggesting that 120 cases isn't enough for a consent decree. I have a problem with you having a website.
One should be enough.
One should be enough, right? But there is a full website that was created, and you want them to fix it on their own? They haven't been fixing it on their own. Exactly. It feels like damn near every day we turn on the news and there's an officer involved shooting, and even this year you had 2 officers who were killed. One that was not in Phoenix, but one was for the Gila River tribal police, and then the other one I believe was like in Tucson or something. But this is bad on all sides when people are paid to be public servants. Mm-hmm. I understand that it's dangerous out there. I don't make any qualms about that. That being said, though, if you can't get it done on your own and the DOJ needs to step in, then that means that these things need to be addressed. And to just the timing feels so terrible. And it just looks like you're doing whatever needs to be done to try to, I guess, capture the
Moderate?
I think he's trying to capture white Republicans who continue this story that Democrats are not tough on crime.
Mm, gotcha.
And that he wants to feel like, I support the police. What the police are doing is this is not fair, and they are, or it's not right, and they should be able to, I guess, again, fix themselves. But suggestions, and we beyond the time for suggestions. We're beyond the time for
Well, the data already shows when people have an opportunity to fix it themselves, they don't.
right.
They need intervention. And and so quantify for me the number of lives that need to be lost or harm that needs to be done, sir.
Exactly. So I'm gonna just drop in this article from the DOJ. Phoenix PD uses excessive force, including unjustified deadly force and other types of force. Phoenix PD and the city unlawfully detain, cite, and arrest people experiencing homelessness and unlawfully dispose of their belongings. Phoenix PD discriminates against Black, Hispanic, and Native American people when enforcing the law. Phoenix PD violates the rights of people engaged in protected speech and expression. See, it's funny because we want free speech when it comes to X, but when people are really out there putting themselves on the line to protect free speech and expression, their rights are violated.
Right.
Phoenix PD and the city discriminate against people with behavioral health disabilities when dispatching calls for assistance and responding to people in crisis. This you don't just write a letter and say, "Oh, I don't think that they need to be."
It's not
This
enough. It didn't happen to enough people. What?
right.
That's just ridiculous. Well, we
Well,
got
again, I'm gonna just say this last thing. I'm sorry. It infuriates me because we've already been. It felt very Kristen Cinema, but she pulled the wool over our eyes after she was elected.
yeah.
I
Well,
know he's behind. He's slightly, according to the polls, girl. But I know everybody don't. I don't be knowing who they talking to in the polls. But according to the polls, he's slightly behind Carrie Lake, and of course she pounced on this because she had just introduced Trump at this event and then didn't get this endorsement. She considers herself the law enforcement. She backs the blue and says, she's made her comments about him in response. And I don't know, it just puts a lot of us in a pickle. Like, now I have no options.
right. Yeah. Well, no, you always have an option. What option will you be able to push and press versus not? So that's kind of how you have to look at it. Well, we talked about a lot of heavy stuff because the news was heavy, but we want to end on a positive highlight. I don't know. The Olympics had me in a stranglehold. I ain't been as much in the stranglehold on the Paralympics. But baby, let me tell you, I was watching that swimming in that track and field. And let me tell you, when I saw that sis, I can't remember her name, but with one arm and one leg, win that 50-meter, and I was like, wait a minute. I mean, if you haven't watched any of the Paralympics, I was watching a little bit of the archery today, and it is just absolutely amazing. The human spirit is amazing. And I think that's why all of these other stories weigh so heavy on us because we know that there is beauty and goodness in the human spirit and the human experience. That you can have any limit, any number of obstacle or limitation from a physical perspective and still rise above that to compete at a high level, to contribute, to be proud, and to have value in this society. And I think that's why these other stories weigh so heavy on us. But if you haven't watched any of the Paralympics, get to your NBC affiliate, watch you some Paralympics. If you have the Peacock app, you can watch it there and go back and watch some of the replay and see some of these amazing things and learn more about the different categories, because I was listening to the different categories and I had to start looking, okay, so what does 13T mean? What does 47 this mean? And they have all of these different categories based on the it the disability or the injury or whatever they have. So whether they are an amputee or limited vision or whatever it is, they have all of these categories. So it's just been fascinating to learn and see. And that's where, again, you go back to diversity, equity, and inclusion that people have tried to bastardize. That's what inclusion is. It's seeing these people who have any number of obstacle or limitation do things in a very unlimited way, and realize that their spirit is limitless, and they can work hard and train and do stuff that some of y'all with both of your eyes, your ears, your arms, your legs can't do. It's amazing to me. So I don't
I
know if
think
you.
I haven't seen it, but I was going to say I think it goes beyond even just inclusion. It is the true definition of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The diversity, people with different abilities coming from different countries of the world. The equity piece is, like you said, they are grouped by the quote unquote limitation or whatever that they have. That's how their categories are derived. And then the inclusion, to say they can be a part of this sports community in the same way as a sighted person, or in the same way as a person with, two arms, two legs, what have you. They can be a part of this community, because like when you call, you like they were on the archery piece. Archery in a wheelchair. We've seen wheelchair basketball. We've seen, again, amputees who are swimming, all of these things. So I think it is
The wheelchair rugby. I was like, hold on. I mean, and they get aggressive in them chairs now. They get a little rough in them chairs. I'm like, wait a minute now. And then even the guys with the I can't remember what their category was, but like say they have a limb. They were born with a limb that was off.
okay.
And so for the track and field, how they had so they could be in the starting block, because you're in the starting blocks, you have both hands down, like they have these little things to kind of balance them out so that they can go down, just all the things to make stuff accessible, and the things that France and Paris had to do to make things accessible. And it's like, don't we want to live in that kind of world where there is access for everyone has an opportunity to thrive? That is what the beauty of this watching the Paralympics. So if you need a palate cleanser, if you on your Labor Day don't have to work tomorrow, get into a little bit of the Paralympics and feel some joy. And
Right.
feel some joy.
I like it, sister. I don't think anything else needs to be said. Feel some joy. We
Feel
need.
some joy. Well, y'all tuned in tonight live to Hey Sister. Thank you for being with us. We love you. Enjoy your Labor Day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.